Zach Claudio, 4 catches for 21. Ledford, 2 for 65. Braden Tracy has caught a pair as well. Andrew Hickey, 1 for 4 through the air. Will Height caught the only pass, no yardage. Hayden Jones, the leading ground gainer, 3 carries, 19 yards. That's just the story right now. Scott
really
County has not been able to get out of its own end, out of its own way.
Well, you start off just like we talked about with Scott County comes out in a different formation that they had obviously practiced on, which is the Wildcat with their super senior Cam Martin. And on the first play, he gets injured. Kind of takes a little bit of the wind, out of their sail. Then Franklin County gets the ball, and on the first carry, Mormon shows how good he is and busted in for a touchdown. Now all of a sudden, they're looking around at each other. But for the first quarter, and I wouldn't say a half, but for the first quarter, Franklin County dominated both lines of scrimmage. Now, I felt like that evened out a little bit as the game progressed. Scott County did start to get a couple of first downs here and there, but then they would turn the ball over.
Franklin County had most of its success on the edge. I don't think they were able to run up the middle all that much. Mormon's first touchdown run kind of started there.
Yep.
And then he cut it out. But you're right. I think it was a good sign that Franklin County at least had to drive the football that last time down the field. But a tough one to say the least. For Scott County, we mentioned they go to Lafayette next week. A lot of tough games on the schedule. They have to go to Bryan Station. They have to go to Frederick Douglass. They have to go to Ballard. They go to Lexington Catholic. Seems like a lot of the tough games are on the road. In the district, of course, we mentioned Douglass and Great Crossing expected to be much improved and in that mix as well. So not a lot of gimmies.
There's not. But, you haven't been this good for this long without getting it corrected.
That's right, and they've got a chance to make some adjustments here.
Yeah, and they will. And even if it's not enough in this game, for the season, you have to feel like they've got too many older guys who have played too much football for them not to get better. Now, having said that, Franklin County has put the state on notice.
Yeah,
we're going after this 4A state title.
Somebody already tweeted back at me, is Franklin County this good or is Scott County down? I'm like, they're this good.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't care what state Scott County's in. Franklin County is a legitimate, regardless of class, top 10 team in the state, from what I can tell.
Well, they have a legitimate star running back in Mormon. Their quarterback's is a dual threat. Yeah,
he was an understudy last year, but he obviously is not. He's obviously a top-level quarterback.
They have a unbelievable linebacker / tight end / lead blocker fullback in the Ledford kid.
He's kind of in that role that Philip Pfeiffer had last year. They graduated him, but Ledford has taken over as the guy that can just stick it to you. So,
and they have some other weapons that you talked about. You can't just have one guy; you got to have multiple, and they have that. And so, for the season moving forward, I'm not sure what their schedule is, but they certainly still have that bad taste in their mouth from that state championship game, and they're going to be ready to make a run.
I believe Central's still in their district. I think one of the Oldhams is in their district as well. So they kind of play in that Louisville side of things.
Yeah. But as far as the second half, you wonder what will Scott County do? We saw a little bit of that 2 wide receiver set. But was that just because we're right at the end of the half, will they say, all right, we're going to go back to the wing tee? We felt like at the end of the half we were having a little bit of success, and we're going to try to get an 8-9 minute drive and, cut this thing down. But I think a lot of that also depends on what Franklin County does when they get the football. If Franklin County comes out and scores a touchdown and makes it 42-7.
I mean, that kind of puts you kind of makes the decision for you. And again, if they do that, they'll probably go for 2 and try to get this thing done.
Yeah.
36 would push it to running clock. So
you're absolutely
you've got to get a stop, and you've got to get it in fairly big chunks. But again, I come back to, I just think when you've done what you've done for so long, you've kind of got to be true to yourself a little bit. They've been banged up a little bit in this first half too. We saw a lineman on both sides go down to injury, at least temporarily. I haven't seen if they return Ethan Miracle and Quinn Brown. So
yeah, that's right.
The toll has been pretty high already.
Yeah, and you really hope those guys are able to come back. If not tonight, next week. But just as you mentioned, at some point in time, it's also not necessarily about tonight, but let's get better for the rest. This is not a district game. This is one of those games that's for the fans. Yeah, you want to win, but it doesn't have any bearing on what you do in the playoffs. So at some point, you got to say, all right, we're going to get better. We're going to start doing what we do. And if that's running the wing tee and scoring touchdowns, and we lose, 49-28, but we had the better of it in the second half, then that's what we're going to do.
And you take it and run,
right.
and you establish your identity a little bit going into next week. I certainly would counsel all of you not to worry too much about Scott County. They will get things figured out, and they will be looking more like themselves. I think they have just run into a buzzsaw tonight. And again, we've seen it before. When you're Scott County and you bring in a team like Franklin County, that game has been circled on Franklin County's calendar for 9 months, and probably longer than that, because they started talking about this thing a couple of years ago. I remember when the whispers were out there about it. So it is. It certainly is a Super Bowl for them. Scott County has long been that for the teams that come in here, and tonight is no exception. So, good representation from the bands here tonight. I don't know if this is a joint Scott County Great Crossing thing going on here. We've got red shirts and blue shirts. And good to see people in the stadium. We're going to have another one later on tonight. I just, last year it was basically parents only, a few siblings. There were no student sections. There were no bands. There were no dancers, cheerleaders. There might have been cheerleaders and dancers, but that was it. I don't remember the band doing too much.
Yeah, and it's good for, the students, I know our students didn't get to come to any games, and that's just not good. No matter what the sport is, you want to have students there being able to support each other. That's who's you're seeing them in the hallways, and when they can't even come on a Friday night for Friday night football, that's.
And you can attest to this. You've been there with me. The years fly by, and you look back on those times in your life, and those 4 years go quickly. We've got some out-of-town scores at the half. Douglas 14, Bryan Station nothing. So Bryan Station, they're another team like Franklin County that has been building and quickly becoming a powerhouse again, and they're requiting themselves well against Douglas. I think in the past years we might have expected the separation there to be a little higher. Connor over Lafayette, so next week's opponent for Scott County, Lafayette down 21-12 at the half. And in the second quarter, Lexington Catholic leads Ryle 10-zip. It's your out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Bluegrass Orthopedics, Georgetown News Graphic, DMK CPA, Brickhouse Properties, and so many more. We'll get to them again during the second half. Might as well mention them now while we can. Chick-fil-A, TMMK, Clark's Pump and Shop, Georgetown Community Hospital, West Banco, Greens Toyota of Lexington, Ozer Paint and Flooring, Scott County Veterinary Clinic, People's Bank, Time to Shine Car Wash, Steve Skierman, Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance, Domino's Pizza, Burger King, Sword Performance. Thank you, Sword Performance, for the hydration at halftime. Much appreciated. Jersey Mike's and BMT Maintenance. It's a warm one. It was well up into the mid to upper 80s at kickoff. 84 actually is what I had at that time. Now it says 81. Barely a cloud in the sky, maybe a fair weather cloud at most. That's a welcome change from last Friday night when Great Crossing had its one home exhibition scrubbed by thunder and lightning and torrential rain, which we've seen a lot of lately. Franklin County saw plenty. I'm glad they've got turf. They wouldn't have been able to practice this week after they saw the other night in terms of rain. So they've certainly got their workouts in and then some. They were up 35-7 in this one. We'll see what Western Hills can do about Great Crossing. They've certainly got revenge on their mind due to the Wolverines, as they were beaten soundly 42-7 a year ago on October the 16th. That one came in the middle of a 3-game winning streak for Great Crossing, as Great Crossing went from 1 win in its inaugural season to 3 last year, 3-5 overall. I think if you look at their schedule, though, it might be built to kind of give them some momentum here going into, as we said, October, when they play Scott County in the traditional spot on the district schedule.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. I was talking to Coach Russell Floyd, their D-line coach, and he was telling me something that I bet a lot of people don't realize is this past spring was the first spring football practice that they've had, because the year before you had COVID, and the year before that,
2 years ago, they were in the Georgetown Middle School gym, or on the lawn outside of it. They didn't. Their first practice, I remember, was at Georgetown College, and I was talking to Coach Paul Raines, who coached them the first year. They had equipment coming in, didn't have any place to store it, because this building over here wasn't done yet. So they were getting deliveries, and they were hoping they were going to be able to find them when the time came. The school was still under construction at that point. I mean, it was barely ready for day one that year. So it's a totally different situation. They've had a full year in the weight room.
Yeah.
They started just so many freshmen and sophomores, too, that first year, and those kids have gradually gotten better. I think you're going to see, especially on the offensive line, it's going to show this year. They haven't really been able to run the ball conventionally for the first 2 years. It's been a lot of Caleb Perry, direct snap, misdirection kind of stuff, and I think you'll see them maybe able to saddle up some other guys a little bit more and run it up the middle between the tackles. So.
Well, 4 out of those 5 offensive linemen have started for 3 years. This will be their 3rd year, So you got to feel like certainly, and that's what you do with a new program. You keep getting better, and
you just hope you get the kids to buy in and stick with it, which they have. You try not to get them hurt when they're freshmen and sophomores playing varsity football. So much of football is the one sport where that physical maturity and that age is so important. You don't see a lot of freshmen and sophomores contributing, certainly at positions that are predicated on size, like the offensive line. Franklin County returns to the field. Coach Eddie James got to be happy with what they accomplished in the first half. But if you are Coach James, what do you tell your kids? You can't get complacent. You can't get lackadaisical. Am I right?
You can. And, they came out with, all juiced up. But you got to tell your guys, hey, you got to show me now that you can play with success, And I think they probably know that. I mean, they had great success last year. But you're playing a terrific high school program. Here, you can't let off the gas.
No.
That's what you're telling them. Are you going to let this team back in it, or are you going to continue to hammer this thing home? Just like you said, if they go down and score right here and get a 2-point conversion, now you're
game over.
And so that's probably what he's saying. Show me that you can handle success, and that you're going to continue to play every single quarter, just like you did that first quarter.
Keep your foot on the gas.
And that's what great teams do.
Scott County has been able to do that in the past when they've been in that situation many times. And it's tough to do sometimes, because you can look up the scoreboard and get a false sense of security. You can forget who you're playing. You can forget you're playing Scott County, and you can think, okay, this is a little easier than I expected. And then you can lull yourself to sleep. You've seen Scott County. I'm trying to think the size of the deficit a couple of years ago when they played Ballard. They were down quite a bit in that game. It wasn't like this by any stretch of the imagination, but it was 2 or 3 scores. They came back and won that one in overtime. We were trying to talk about games where Scott County had been down by this much. I can't think of any.
I can't either. And at least within the last
not at the
10,
half,
15 years at halftime.
Right.
But,
I mean, in my time.
Right. And but here's where, if you're on the Scott County side, you're saying, you know what? Regardless of what the score is, you're playing in a program that has a lot of tradition, and you've got to go out there and show some pride right here.
Yeah,
it's about you winning some one-on-ones and
play for the name on the front of the jersey, as they say.
Yeah.
Kickoff fielded inside the 20. Good return for Claudio, still on his feet. Finally corralled there. Just over the 30 by Saylor.
Another Cardinal getting up awful slow. That's
been the theme tonight. the players that have been down have been in the dark jerseys. Franklin County will start at its own 32, 1st and 10, trying to build on a 35-7 lead. Single setback is Mormon next to Madison in the shotgun. Now they're changing the play or pretending to. Mormon will switch sides. Of about 8 or 9. Gavin Hurst on the catch and run. Gets it up close to the 40. Call it a gain of 7. It will be 2nd and 3. Hurst is slow getting up. I think it's a cramp. Let's get that telltale cramp look to it. As we said, it's a warm one.
But that answers our question right there about putting the foot on the pedal. They're coming out throwing.
Yeah, they're going to throw it on first down. Trainer Dan out there helping him up. Player from Franklin County. He's got a long walk across the field to get to his sideline. When we do resume play, we'll be 2nd down and 3 at the 39. Big defensive series for Scott County as you can't overstate that point. Down 4 scores. I think their only stop was an Isaac Krebs fumble recovery. And they turned it over themselves. It turned into a scoop and 6 for the Flyers shortly thereafter. Madison in the gun. Hands off to Mormon. Stopped at the 40. Good pursuit. Really swarming by the Cardinals there.
Well, you can see Coach McIntyre putting an extra guy in the box right there. And that's what you're going to have to do to slow Mormon down.
Jackson Saylor coming in from the rover position on the left edge. Cardinals have some run stuffers in the middle. Cam Keller checks in at 300 pounds at the nose. You mentioned Quinn Brown was hurt in the first half. Third and 2. We got a flag. They're going to mark off 5 against the Flyers.
Yeah, the right guard jumped right there.
Little flinch. And it's a break for the Cards. His 3rd and 2 becomes 3rd and 7.
You can see Jaden Madison. He was upset right there because he knows how important that play is. But that's what a leader does.
Changes your whole scheme now. Of course, they've had so many big chunk plays tonight that 2 or 7 might not matter. Always seems different when it's 3rd down, though.
Yeah.
A little different mentality.
Scott County going man-to-man on the outside and loading up the box.
Madison goes right, throws left deep. He's got Claudio. Touchdown. No flags. 65 yards. Jaden Madison to Zach Claudio with the dagger. And they will go for 2, almost certainly.
Well,
I think Franklin County just got a hold of the train whistle.
They're still trying to decide what they're going to do here. They may end up taking a time. Well, but they still haven't blown it into play. But
no.
But, you could see right there, Coach McIntyre, it's such a tough decision. He knew he had to bring extra guys in the box right there to get a stop, and that gets you one-on-one on the outside. And Claudio just made a nice move and was able to get there.
They'll go for 2. Direct snap to Madison. It's Mormon, excuse me. He'll run it in, and we will have a running clock for the final 22 minutes of this game. Unbelievable. Franklin County is going to go out of here with a win tonight. And still a lot of football to be played. I'm almost speechless, Scotty.
Yeah.
I didn't expect this. I guess, I didn't see the scrimmage with Central, but I did see them play Bowling Green, the defending 5A champions, and I felt like that was an pretty even night. But again, Scott County did a lot of its traditional stuff in that game, offensively. Defensively, they were just swarming.
And, Sam went once, and he was telling me the same thing. He was excited. He was talking about the defense.
I was jacked up after that one.
Yeah, and but this is just this Franklin County team. It's just a team on a mission.
It's a train rolling down the tracks right now. Whatever cliche you want to put in there about momentum and motivation and.
Well, and I know this was before your time. I think it was before your time, but several years ago when Scott County lost in the semifinals in heartbreaking fashion to Trinity, they were winning the whole game.
I've been told. I think it was a couple of years before I got here.
Well, you heard Jim McKee say that after that game, that those guys just, they just got in that weight room and they win the state title the next year.
Not much needs to be said.
Yeah.
Little floater kickoff fielded by Saylor at the 31. And the clock will run from here. It's not even stopped now to spot the ball. So things, like I said, I think it's only the second running clock game I've been a part of when Scott County has been on the business end of it. And that one came with about a minute to go in the Douglas game a couple of years ago. This is new territory.
It is, but now we're at the point of now we're talking about okay.
Now you just look at it as let's get better and get ready for next week, right?
That's exactly right.
Get back to playing Scott County football. Hickey, reverse to Fikert, spins across the 40. Good yardage there, close to the marker. He'll get 9. Fikert's got some potential. He had some nice runs in that Bowling Green scrimmage that I mentioned. It would be nice to get him into the offense tonight. I think you'll have a chance to get some of those new faces. I doubt you'll see much more of Campton Martin with the gimpy leg. Tago Jones up the middle. First down and more across midfield.
But just what we're talking about. Now they're doing what they do.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I'm looking at the depth chart right here, and Montego Jones is nowhere to be seen on the offensive side. And I just think realistically for Scott County to do what it wants to do this year, you've got to have him back there. He just provides – he's a downhill runner, and he's the prototype fullback for this offense. Hickey throws it left, picks up 2 or 3 before a quick hit from Franklin County.
And it's also a time, every snap that Hickey gets is going to be valuable. When you're a freshman, every single game, every single quarter, every single snap, he's going to get better and better. And, you hope that by the end of the year, that he's ready to roll.
Taylor Luttrell was the receiver on that play. He gained 4. Now another first down out to the 30. Good run for Fikert. So he's run this way twice for significant positive yardage. The Cards have got it moving now. It's all cosmetics at this point, but if they can punch it in a couple of times, like you said, I think it gives you something to build on going into the new week. This just looks more like Scott County football now. Jones up the middle for 6. Jones will come to the sideline. Hayden Jones will check back in. Run left as they continue to use those wings on the outside. This time it's Luke Valencia. It's been Fikert right, Valencia left. Probably not going to see a whole lot of Hamilton on offense from this point either. A lot of younger kids getting in the mix. Timeout. Third and 4, rather. Call it 5 from the 25. They lost one on that exchange. 6:38 remaining third quarter. Running clock other than the timeouts. Coming up probably about half an hour after the conclusion of this one, it will be Great Crossing and Western Hills. We've also got the Bluegrass Orthopedics Player of the Game awards to hand out, one for each game. I think it's fairly safe to say who it's going to in this game. You could make a case for the quarterback, Jaden Madison, but I think it's the presence of Caden Mormon that makes him doubly dangerous back there. And Mormon with the 3 touchdowns and over 100 all-purpose yards in the first half, getting it done.
And I wonder how much more we'll even see of him.
Yeah, with your Franklin County, too, you got to start thinking about next week. And that means get some of your kids out of there on what could be an emotional game. A lot of chirping went on earlier, as you mentioned. High throw. Both teams got a hand on it. It was well over both heads. Franklin County's Braden Tracy tipped it after it was initially thrown in Wilhite's direction, Andrew Wilhite. 4th down and 5. You don't want to come up empty here if you're Scott County. You had a nice little drive going. Offense has not scored tonight. It was a special teams touchdown by Jeremy Hamilton. Here's the inside handoff coming this way to Fikert, and again, that play works for a first down. He's got 3 carries on this drive for a total of 25-plus yards. And that will extend it. First down at the 19.
I think he's doing a nice job of, the play fakes, and which is what you have to do in the wing.
In this offense, that's really going to be his job primarily. Sell the fakes. Throw it on point down the middle on the play action situations. Hayden Jones, first man through. He'll be replaced by Montego Jones, no relation. That's the good news, I think, too, for Coach McKee is he's definitely got the personnel that he can use some different combinations and get a lot of guys in and out of the game, especially early in the season when it's
I don't think
90 degrees. You don't have to wear anybody out. He's not going to have the situation back getting 25, 30 carries as in the past.
Well, and as I mentioned, when I talked with Coach Willard today, there were several guys that he said, early on, we're just going to play them on this side of the ball. But I think as the season progresses, they're too good not to play on both. And so that'll happen. And,
every team, some teams are different. Some take longer to find their identity than others. And, as you said, I think you can build off of this. There have been plenty of times where Coach McKee likes to use the word humble pie. Coach Belichick uses it too for the Patriots. Sometimes you eat that humble pie and it turns your season around. You'll learn some things about yourself on a night like tonight that you might not otherwise.
Yeah.
Second down inside the 20, marked at just inside the 17. Call it 2nd and 7. Hickey under center. He'll throw it. Jump ball incomplete. Luttrell wants a flag. He won't get one.
Well, they did a nice job right there. The safety was playing over top of on the right side, and when he released, he just went off his receiver and went to the middle and was able to break that up. That's a nice job by him.
3rd down and 7. Another sweep for Fikert. He'll cut it inside, get inside the 10, down close to the 5. It'll be a first down and goal. It's only the second time all night we've been able to say that for the Cardinals.
Fikert has really run the ball hard tonight.
I was impressed with him in the preseason, and I'm impressed with him tonight. And he's still primarily running against the Franklin County first D. Ball at the 6. Inside handoff doesn't go far. It's Valencia. Maybe gets to the 5.
He's coming up gimpy as well.
I was going to say, he was slow to get up. I don't know if it was a cramp or what. He fought back to play during baseball season.
He did. He sure did.
From surgery that had some complications, and it is a cramp. You can tell by the way he's reaching for his toes. Played on the defensive side of the ball in baseball, and then in the summer, I think, was able to swing a bat. Good multi-sport athlete. You're going to hear a lot about him. Hickey has the ball on his hip, throws, tipped, picked off in the end zone. So the Cards will come away with nothing once again, as this time it's a turnover. It's number 6, Braden Tracy.
And that just goes to show how the night has gone.
Yeah, that's a fitting.
It's you run it all the way down to the 5-yard line, and it was a nice play action pass, and Franklin County just read it well. And
it has all gone the way of the Flyers. With 2:34 remaining here in a now fast-moving third quarter.
They still have Madison and Mormon both in. I'm willing to guess that this is their last series.
One would think they wouldn't need to play beyond the end of the third quarter.
They're taking their time to snap this, but the play clock is already at 3 seconds, so yeah, they're going to take it.
They're going to use one of their remaining timeouts. Clock has ticked down to 1:54 remaining in the third quarter. Franklin County just playing out the string in a 43-7, what's going to be a win for them, and a triumphant short bus ride on 460 back to the high school. Now we've got a cramp for Franklin County. Brenton Sears is gingerly tiptoeing across the field.
Well, just as you said, when you have a game like this, a 6 o'clock start, it's 85 degrees or whatever it was at kickoff, you're going to have a lot of cramping. But, Cal, I want to talk about, we keep talking about Mormon and Madison and Sears and Lefford, but when I talked with Coach James this week, he talked about how he had their top 6 offensive linemen back, 5, and then a guy who rotated in, anchored by Carson Greenwell, their center. And, boy, they look good. They look the part. And he talked about them being, he said they're big and they have some athleticism. And, they have really done a nice job tonight.
Makes a big difference when you have that continuity up front. Everybody talks about Douglas and all their skill players, but, the 2 guys who've been the difference makers for them in recent years are the guys that are going to be playing on Saturdays this year.
Yeah, and Jagger Burton's not a bad player.
Burton and Parks both were just immovable objects. Parks now at Clemson and Burton at UK. Handoff gains a couple for Franklin County. They're probably going to be rotating some backs that we haven't seen. I'd say some clean jerseys, but they're playing on turf, so everybody's got a clean jersey. I just saw Campton Martin over here on crutches with a bare left foot, so he's keeping the weight off that ankle. I guess that would indicate that it was probably an ankle and not a knee earlier.
Yeah.
But we will not see him for the rest of the night, I think it's safe to say. That's a quick throw that falls incomplete. It was a forward pass. Scott County trying to wish and hope and pray that it was a lateral, but the play was whistled dead. 3rd down and long.
Well, they have already taken Madison out. That was
new quarterback.
Tyler Broyles, number 14.
Yeah, they have a lot of situations where the last name is the same over at Franklin County. They've had some stud athletes in recent years that have younger brothers that I think are ready to step up.
Mormon's out as well. They've got Brennan Robinson in at tailback.
So Franklin County doing what you do in running clock games, getting the younger guys some playing time. Scott County all over that carry. It'll be 4th down, and I think for the first time all night long, we will see the punt team. Probably not until the first snap of the 4th quarter, as the final seconds in the 3rd will run down. Teams will take the long walk to the other end, and with 12 minutes to play, your score, Franklin County 43, Scott County 7. Don't forget, Great Crossing in Western Hills coming up after this. If you're listening at newsgraphic.com, I think the same link will carry you through the rest of the night. If you are watching on NFHS Network, you'll have to back out of this game, look up Great Crossing, click on the Great Crossing Western Hills link, and that should take you right to it with about 10 minutes to go before kickoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your entertainment, the Scott County Cardinals dance team.
It's good to see a lot of fight out of that defensive line on that last play.
Yeah, they look feisty there. They don't care whether Franklin County's got the starters in or not. They want to get their hits in. It's a rare season opening loss for Scott County. I would have to get on the KHSAA website and remind myself when the last one was. But many, many years. As the Scott County dance team entertaining the fans here between the 3rd and 4th quarters, we'll give you another word from our sponsors. I want to remind you this Battle of Elkhorn Creek presented by Bluegrass Orthopedics. Scott County High School holds the safety of its student athletes first and foremost. They're proud to partner with a team of physicians from Bluegrass Orthopedics and athletic trainers Dan Volpe and Hannah Clayton to provide. Actually, Hannah Clayton's moved on. This must be last year's script. She's now I think she's working at Duke University. Anyway, I don't know if you're allowed to say Duke University around here. They provide sports medicine coverage for all of the athletic programs. Dan and his many helpers from Bluegrass Orthopedics can be found on the sideline for practices and games. Thank you, BGO, for the care and service you provide. Scott County Athletics. We are underway. The punt didn't go far. Did it get blocked?
I think they got a
deflection. Taylor Luttrell might have gotten a piece of it. The dance team. I thought the dance team was going to play longer than they did. They caught me off guard there. Scott County up to 111 yards. That is not a huge total for them, obviously. 380 for Franklin County. Fikert's done a nice job. He's got 8 carries for 46 yards now. Scott County, good field position, something they haven't had a ton of other than that early kick return at the Franklin County 40. Hickey's going to get sacked, stripped, recovered by Scott County. Loss of 6 yards.
And bless his heart, they were running the wheel route there. He had his man wide open, and right as he was getting ready to release it,
he just got
sort
nailed.
of slipped.
Yeah, the ball kind of, he lost the handle. He sold his fakes well. He's frustrated, you can tell.
Yeah. But he'll get better. I mean, this is the
Coach
first
McKee understands this is a first-time thing with a freshman running that position. Up the middle, around the end, Tago Jones. Usually don't see him running outside the numbers, but now he's got a cramp or a hammy or something.
Let's hope it's a cramp.
I sure hope so. He's trying to shoo everybody away. He thinks it's a cramp. Hayden Jones is coming in anyway. He gained a good chunk of it back. It's 3rd and 6 at the Flyers 36. He is going to throw that ball in the right flat. It's underthrown and it's incomplete. Hit the turf.
That was the exact play they ran a couple
Yeah,
plays
he
ago.
tried. He finally got rid of the ball,
Yeah.
but again, I think the palm's a little sweaty.
Just underthrew him.
For multiple reasons, I'm sure. He'll have another shot, 4th down, 9:20 and running. After this game, we will take a quick break as I have to go down on the field to do the trophy presentation for the player of the game to Caden Moorman of Franklin County and talk to the coaches, and then we'll be back up here for the nightcap. Scott County runs it again on the left side. It's Luke Valencia. Not much there. It'll be 4th down. Nope, that was 4th down. It's going to be a turnover on downs. As this game slips into history, 8:38 from its conclusion.
Well, you weren't the only one pulled there. Even Franklin County's defense is still standing on the field.
I think we all kind of, once the running clock kicks in, you sort of lose track of what the down is and the distance and everything. It's just, it kind of becomes a JV game in a lot of respects. It's let's not get anybody hurt and let's get some different guys some quality time. And nice to see the cars and the people and the traffic here. I just, regardless of the score, this is a good night for high school sports to kind of be back again.
Well, and you and I are looking directly across at the huge student section for Franklin County.
Yeah, they turned out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Western Hills will do the same. There's a big tackle for loss for the Cards. Obviously not starter versus starter circumstances, but it's always good to kind of build that momentum. Jackson Saylor. Nope, it's Robinson. It's 38. That is Graham Robinson. We've called his number a couple of times on special teams.
Absolutely,
they are shuffling some new bodies in there. Still see Jeremy Hamilton on defense. Paul Garner, Andrew Wilhite. And they will swarm the ball carrier again. No gain, maybe a loss.
But if you're a guy like Robinson who's played so well in special teams, and now you have a chance to show the coaches,
right,
hey, the lights are on, I'm going to get after it. So good for him.
He was on the 2 deep as he was listed as a backup at safety to Jeremy Hamilton, but they've got them both on the field.
They're down 18.
Yeah, they got him in at that Cardinal position right now.
Third and 18. Franklin County will throw, and it will almost be picked off. It was into double coverage, falls incomplete. Flyers will punt for the second time as we tick down to the 6-minute mark. Here at Bird's Nest Stadium, beautiful sunset behind the church over here. Just a great setting for high school football.
Franklin County's going to go for it on 4th and
4th and forever from their own end of the field. Maybe I guess they don't mind if they give Scott County the ball there. It's kind of no harm. No, it's a little pooch. A little pooch punt. Across midfield. It takes a good flyer bounce. Now Hamilton will pick it up in a dangerous spot, but he's got a lot of room on this side. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. They're not going to get him. Second kick return. He had a kick return touchdown earlier. He has a punt return touchdown now. He's your MVP for Scott County tonight, certainly. Future D1 player. He's a 3-sport star, track, basketball as well.
Older brother Kendrick was an outstanding player.
Other older brother Taryn was a great basketball player, and now JUCO in Florida. $60-yard punt return TD.
When you run a play like that, I'm sure they were thinking, well, we almost got it blocked, so we'll just do a little pooch and no harm.
And I think they thought Scott County was kind of going to kill it. Yeah. Jeremy picked it up at the last second, which in a close game you probably don't want him to do. But here it kind of lulled him to sleep. Jacob Bange's kick is good with 5:32 to play. It's 43-14. Franklin County on top. Ban gets a chance to play. This offense will get untracked. It may not happen tonight, but I think you will see it very soon. Like you said, there's too many veterans, too much talent.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I am a little concerned about a couple of the injuries. That
Yeah,
we
I
saw
mean,
from
you
the
had
linemen.
an inordinate number of big bodies going down, and to make matters worse, Captain Martin being hobbled for much of the game. Went down on the first play, kind of came back and was not overly effective, I think. Safe to say. Bange will kick it deep. Fielded at the 5. A lot of room up the middle. Across midfield, and a big play for Franklin County. It just seems like that's been the thing all night long. When Scott County has a big play, whether it's on defense or special teams, Franklin County answers immediately.
And I am stunned that they had Mormon in the game right there.
It's kind of dangerous, I think.
And you know, he is
limping off.
He sure is. He's grabbing at that hamstring.
And you can only hope that's a cramp if you're Franklin County, because there's absolutely no reason with a 5-minute running clock and a 4-touchdown lead that you should have him in on special teams, I wouldn't think.
Well, you know, you're sitting over there on the bench for the last 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're fielding a kickoff return.
Right. You're going to tighten up.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. I hate to see that for the young man.
Good field position for Franklin County out of that. They're still playing against
they sure are.
A lot of first-line defensive players for SC.
Well, I was just going to say, but Scott County's, you know, they're still playing hard. Elijah Adams right there getting in the backfield.
.406 and counting to the end of this one. Franklin County going to have the bragging rights for a year. Oh, that is a takedown and a half.
Boy,
that just looked painful.
It did. That knee snapped back right there. But
it was an MMA move by Graham Robinson. We've called his name probably more than any other Scott County player tonight. He's made some stops on special teams, now a couple of TFLs on defense. He's a senior, but he's not a senior that we've heard from in the past. Going to make a name for himself and, like you said, get the coach's attention. Franklin County running the clock all the way down to 0, and they will take the 5-yard penalty, I think. Yep. 3:04 to play. Scott County at Lafayette next week. Great Crossing will have another home game next week, but of course we've got them coming up tonight. Don't go anywhere. More high school football for you here in week 1. Every home game here on the Bird's Nest Broadcasting Network, newsgraphic.com, and the NFHS Network. Snap mishandled. Made something out of nothing. And now a flag comes in late from behind the play.
Nelson Verdine on the tackle. Quarterback. Wilson keeps the ball.
I think that's a freshman, J.D. Smith. Took the direct snap there. Just about everybody's gotten in the game for Franklin County. Monty says decline the penalty, so it's clearly against the Flyers.
Yeah, holding on the left
Yeah,
guard.
that came,
right
when
there.
it came in late from behind the play. It's almost always holding, unless somebody sees a face mask or something. 4th down and 20. They'll go for it from midfield. 1 yard on Scott County's side. A little toss play to the left. It'll gain some yardage, but not enough. The Cards swarm it at the 45, and they'll get the ball back with 2 minutes and change. As we said, there'll be a little break on the audio broadcast. If you're watching the video, you'll have to back out, put Great Crossing in the search bar, and you can look up the Great Crossing Western Hills live stream on the NFHS network, or you can just stick with us at newsgraphic.com, and Scotty and I will bring all the action of that one to you. That was a game that had a similar score to this last year in Great Crossing's favor. We'll see what Western Hills can do about that. A lot more preparation time. 9 months, a lot better than 9 hours.
That's exactly right.
Phew. Hickey's going to get sacked again. Almost thought he was going to be able to stay on his feet and get rid of it, but Franklin County got a piece of jersey and wouldn't let go. Just over a minute left. Second long. Cardinals offense has essentially been shut out tonight. Jeremy Hamilton, both touchdowns on special teams. Hickey with a quick throw to Garner. Garner will take it up just shy of midfield, step out of bounds. Clock won't stop because we're in a running clock situation. Probably one, maybe two more plays, and that will do it for this one. Battle of Elkhorn Creek. Round one will go to the capital city. As Franklin County is going to win this one 43-14. Unless Thomas Fikert can score on this play, and he's going to get lassoed at midfield. And the final seconds will run off of this one, and that will be your final score. The Franklin County Flyers 43, the Scott County Cardinals 14. They are going to hurry up and try to run one more play, I guess, just to call me a liar. And they don't snap it in time anyway. The ball game is over. Flyers manhandle the Cardinals tonight in the Battle of Elkhorn Creek. We will be back momentarily with Game 2. Don't go anywhere. Great Crossing and Western Hills coming up.